This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. It's Friday, February 25th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From Reuters, Russia invades Ukraine. Russian troops have started to move into Ukraine. Tanks and jets and missiles have taken, and in some cases taken out, military and transportation installations. Ukrainian troops are fighting back, and there are scattered reports of victories for both sides here and there, and air travel in and around this region has been shut down completely, except for military aircraft. And the world has responded with more sanctions and other penalties and threats. Surrounding countries are spinning up for what could turn out to be a serious humanitarian crisis and the possible decapitation of Ukraine's government. This is going to be a story for a while, and this situation has the potential to challenge or upend what we might think of as the post-World War II economic and diplomatic world order. That said, I would suggest not tracking every single new detail about what's happening, despite the inclination many of us might feel to do so. Much of what's being reported and shared right now is incorrect or incomplete, and it doesn't help you or anyone else to stress yourself into ill health over even important news stories. So to sum up this quick bit of editorializing, consider checking in on what's happening periodically, as this is important stuff, but don't feel compelled to stay glued to your device, consuming every last bit of horse race-style journalism and social content. And if you catch yourself getting stressed or anxious, step away from the news for a while and decompress. From Wired, DeepMind has trained an AI to control nuclear fusion. One way to build a nuclear fusion reactor is to construct a donut-shaped container called a tokamak and fill it with plasma, but that plasma must reach incredibly high temperatures, and that often means compressing it using super powerful magnetic coils, which must be shifted about as the reaction is taking place to keep everything confined, and shifted further if those controlling it want to try out different shapes or densities. A sub-company of Alphabet, which is also the parent company of Google, called DeepMind, creates AI software that learns to play chess and beats all the best human players, learns to play Go and beats all the best human players, things like that. It's recently been tasked with learning to control the plasma contained in a tokamak, and a new paper on the effort suggests that this has been successful, and it's now helping scientists come up with new shapes and models and approaches to try. And from Reuters, world should send 60 million COVID vaccines to North Korea, UN investigator says. A United Nations human rights investigator has said that lockdowns within North Korea have left something like 26 million people on the verge of starvation, and sending around 60 million vaccination doses might convince the country's government to accept them. The North Korean government has been suspicious of vaccine donation offers from outside sources, especially if they're in relatively small quantities that would then leave them vulnerable if they wanted to get more, which would be necessary to vaccinate most or all of their population. So a larger quantity of offered vaccines could, in theory, help alleviate some of that suffering by allowing them to open back up and produce more food. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.